Hi there, I'm Dean Heskin. Thank you for tuning into our podcast, The Secret War on Cash, where we take kind of a hard, in depth look at some of the changing things in our financial markets and our economy. There's been an abundance of that in the last couple of years, and certainly makes it very interesting for at least wise finding material or topics for this podcast. And I have with me my co-host Chris Agelastos. Chris, we're going to talk about. We finished our last podcast actually discussing what's been going on with gold and silver,
Mhm.
and we're right back there again, just because there is so much information to you know cover. I mean,
Yeah.
it's unbelievable what we're seeing right now. Looking at this first article, gold hits 6 week high on rate cut optimism, and silver hits record high. And what I find very interesting and something that we've talked about, the reasons that metals prices are continuing to go up. There are reasons that are going to continue. And what I mean by that is, yet another rate cut, which there's still more of those expected.
Mhm.
The demand for the metals from an industrial use is continuing to grow. And then in the investment world, banks, governments, institutions, and individual investors, they're also, looking to diversify into metals and putting more money there as well. So it's this continuum of factors that is going to and has been continuing to drive up the price of metals. And I don't see any of these things slowing down anytime soon. How about you?
No, and that's what's nice about it from our perspective, and for people who hold any physical metal, is that there are so many tailwinds, pushing us forward that even if something drops off or improves a little here and there, in the economy or with the trade wars and the tariffs, or battles overseas for land, all of these things are pushing the metal prices. In addition to the issues that we have at home with our own debts and deficits and manufacturing and other things. So there are so many things pushing it that at this point, to me, the question isn't going is it going to continue marching forward? I think very clearly that it is. It's just how far and how fast. And if it speeds up a little or slows down a little, it's still going to get to that same end result. And from an investor standpoint, that's great. You want to have that kind of confidence when you're setting aside some money for protection as well as growth. And this is giving people the best of both worlds.
For sure. Well, speaking of the best of both worlds, there are two worlds out there that I guess are in competition right now. Looking at this article from Watcher.guru, gold is being challenged. A new breakout asset is rising fast. And this is where, Chris, drum roll, please. They're talking about silver
Yeah.
and how silver is, it literally over the course, I think, of this year is up, but over 57%. Is that correct? Did I
Yeah.
get that?
Well, yeah, and nearly 90% if you go back a little over a year. So, I mean, just massive gains from an investment standpoint, yet with still a lot more momentum and room to grow.
Well, and it's so interesting because you have, from a price entry standpoint, it is a more affordable metal.
Hmm.
It's over the years when I first got into the metals market back in the early 90s, they used to call there was a reference that was given towards silver. It was called poor man's gold, because you could obviously get in at a fraction of the cost. I mean, back
Hmm.
then, Chris, I can't remember exactly, but I want to say silver was roughly $7 an ounce or $6 an ounce. It was
Yeah.
pretty inexpensive. And here's the thing: we talked about in an earlier podcast how the it's well believed, and it's now seeming to be accurate, that there's been artificial pressure, downward pressure of pushing the price of silver down over the course of the last several years. And
Hmm.
that's kind of now broken out. And now, as they're starting to look at the numbers, the amount of silver out there compared to what should be out there at today's prices is a fraction of what it should be. And why that is
Yeah.
significant is that as the market wakes up to this reality more and more, that in and of itself could create explosive gains in the metal.
Yep. Well, and I like how you're right. I remember I haven't heard that term in a while, but poor man's gold. Those poor people that bought it back then have made 6, 7, 800% on their money. So a pretty
Yeah.
good move. And you're right with the industrial demand. The solar uses, EVs, other electronics. I mean, that alone right there can consume all of the silver that's out there in supply. So when you add to that people wanting to set aside some of their savings and protect it, and you add to that, the natural demand we get from jewelry and things of that nature. Silver's used in a lot of different areas. It's going to continue to push this. So I mean, I think these are very conservative targets in this article. They're talking about $63 to $88 for silver in the short term. But really, we should be seeing it surpass $100 an ounce. I think even in the near term, in the next year or so, and it could happen much quicker, quite honestly. So yeah, definitely triple digit prices for silver are on the way. And one thing I would like to point out to people, using an IRA or an old 401k that you have, using that money to buy silver is a great tool. And a lot of people don't even realize that they can buy physical gold or silver with a retirement plan. But by using an IRA to buy silver, you can take advantage of all of this growth, have protection in your retirement plan, and it's tax deferred or even tax free if you have a Roth IRA coming out down the road. So definitely something that people need to pay attention to. Obviously, reach out to us or any company out there, but quite honestly, at least get some education. We'll send you some materials and help walk you through the basics. But people need to get on board and not miss this boat.
Well, they can do that. I'm glad you bring that up by calling or texting at 1-800-289-2646. If you haven't already, call and get a copy of The Secret War. It's a great report, very easy, short read, but very, very insightful in terms of, kind of getting maybe a little better understanding of what's going on in the government and the world around you and as it pertains to finance and other things, as well as getting information on, as Chris just mentioned, getting monies put into maybe a precious metals IRA or even outside of an IRA. If you want to learn more about how to do that, we can get you information all for free, get that information to you as well. So it's interesting, Chris, as you were talking about even like the low ball estimates of silver going to, like, let's say the mid 60s or mid to high 60s. And
Yeah.
it's like, oh man, what a disappointment. It's not 100. But even at that, that's over a 20%
Right.
gain from where it is right now. And that just
Yep.
shows you it doesn't the silver at current prices. And yes, there are expectations it's going to go to 100, some even
Mhm.
250 plus, could be more than that, but it doesn't take much of a move for percentage wise. Somebody put $20,000 into silver, and these experts are right. In the next, or analysts, in the next whatever 3, 4, 5, 6 months,
Mhm.
it hits that high 60 price range. Now all of a sudden your 20 grand is worth 24, $25,000, and but
Yep.
more importantly, you have those tangibles in your portfolio, so that heaven forbid anything bad were to happen in the economy, you've got something to fall back on. All right. Well, that should wrap up this episode of Secret War on Cash. Chris, thank you so much. For
Yep.
those of you tuned in, thanks for being here. And if you're not subscribed, please do so. And we'll talk to you more in the future. Have a great rest of your day.